let's bring in now One Nation Chief of Staff James Ashby and former Labor MP Michael Danby. Great to see you both. Well, let's have a look. Joe Biden has spoken publicly for the first time since Donald Trump became president, and it got off to a rocky start. The former leader of the free world started bumbling over some blaring music. Here he was.
Thank you. So good to be here. Who deserve help.
And it didn't get any better.
And I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time when I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
Michael, maybe they need to roll him out every now and then just so Donald Trump doesn't look so bad or chaotic.
I described Dr. Jill Bryden, because surely she's a doctor like Dr. Monique Ryan, as the Lady Macbeth of American politics. She and his former Chief of Staff, Ron Klein, and the White House doctor did something terrible to the United States, to America, to the Democratic Party, to all of freedom-loving people all around the world by keeping that man in office. And this reappearance reminds us of how bad it was.
It's interesting, James, because Albanese keeps trying to compare Peter Dutton to Donald Trump, you know, as if it's a big insult and turning Australians off. But at One Nation, you guys, you don't have that problem.
No, we certainly don't at the moment. Our polls seem to be doing pretty well. But ultimately, the ultimate test is on May 3, so we'll wait to see what the results of that are before we get too cocky. Look, isn't it strange here? They lock him up prior to an election, but immediately after, he's free to go and give all these speeches. He hasn't changed, though. He's still bumbling his way through. It just proves it was a good decision not to run him, and thank goodness that Donald Trump is the president of the United States, not this old geriatric.
Well, on Sunday, we saw Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. His home was gutted by fire. Just shocking. Fortunately, no one was injured in this firebombing, but his wife and their 4 children, plus another family, had to evacuate. Now, of course, look, Josh, he's a Democrat, but he is proud of his Jewish faith. Michael, what do we know about the motivations behind this attack?
Well, first of all, he's the hope of the future of moderate centrist Democrats. And so an attack on him is a big danger to the future of American politics. He's a great guy, but there's a palpable fear amongst anyone who is pro-Israel or Jewish in any part of the world leadership. You know that, Sharri. Alex Rivchin, who's the leader of the Jewish community in Sydney, had his home targeted. That's why these woke and weak political leaders and police forces are a danger to all of our societies. When they let that thing rip on October the 8th on the steps of Sydney Parliament House, you understand, I understand, that things like what happened to Dan Shapiro are going to happen all over the world. These Islamists and jihadists feel empowered by the weakness of Western states.
Yeah, you of course met Josh Shapiro there. Absolutely awful to see anti-Semitism reaching that sort of level. On a lighter note, this has made the news this afternoon because it's just so hilarious. The epitome of a social media fail. These 2 social media posts. So first, Tanya Plibersek put up a photograph, the one on the left, showing her with Julie Gillard and Wayne Swan in the Chairman's Club lounge. But at the same time, Wayne Swan put up the photo on the right where he blacked out or whited out the background of the image so that, you know, no one would know they were in the Chairman's lounge. Presumably, he wanted to help his mate Albanese, because this brings back the stories about how Albo scored a Chairman's Lounge membership for his son Nathan, James.
Look, let's not get too carried away with the fact that all politicians have access to this same lounge. They're just not silly enough to rub it in the faces of the everyday ordinary person who's got to sit out there and pay, $30 for a meal, which is getting dearer and dearer at airports. So, no, they're just dumb, let's just put it that way, for posting this and criticised rightly for the fact that people are struggling out there. And here they are with their glass of moe, which is served up in the chairman's lounge, and you've got a personal chef in there. I'm surprised they didn't pull in the chef as well to get in that selfie. It's silly.
Exactly.
Well, let's face it, that's what happens.
But James, you say most politicians have access to the chairman's lounge, and they do, but
Yes.
most of them don't ask the head of Qantas to get their son membership as well. I mean, that's what Albanese did. That is next level.
But James is right, Sharri. Even that grim Marxist head of the Greens, Adam Bant, is a member of Chairman's Lounge. And I know a former chairman of the Greens Party who used to sneak out of the Chairman's Lounge 40 minutes before the plane left so the punters would all think that he was egalitarian.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of the Greens, Michael, your old seat of Macnamara. Look, Josh Burns is the Labor MP. He's trying to win it again. This is a difficult seat. It's got a lot of Greens members. It's got a lot of Jewish members in it. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, the 12% margin is rubbish. I'm disappointed that Josh is running an open ticket where he just puts himself number one. I can reveal on the program tonight, Sharri, that Tony Lupton and I will have the pre-polling manned everywhere by volunteers who are going to give out a Labor ticket but tell people to give the Liberals a higher preference than the Green political party, because that's what people want to do in Macnamara. So it's possible if Josh Burns runs third, he will be eliminated and his preferences normally would go overwhelmingly to the Greens, and the Greens would be elected rather than Benson Solo, the Liberal Party. But we're determined to thwart the plans of the extremist Greens and will be issuing a vote yes Labor ticket, but giving the preferences not to the Greens.
I have to say I'm surprised.
Does that mean you get kicked out of the Labor Party for that, Michael? Because I'm interested in that. Are you still a member of the Labor Party? Because won't that see you chucked out?
James, that's all I can say. Let them try. They'd make such bad publicity for themselves.
I agree.
And
Good on you.
Difference
Good
is
on you for
they'd
doing
have
it.
someone on there who would be able to argue exactly what they're doing and explain
Michael,
it to people.
I
So they
find it
wouldn't
hard
dare.
to believe. I find it hard to believe you, Michael, are genuinely going to vote for Albo and Penny Wong and Tony Burke. I find that hard to believe. I'm going to call you on my way home and see if that's true. I do not
Sharri,
believe
you're very
that.
wise, but we've got to issue a ticket to Labor. 30% of the electorate are still going to vote Labor, and we don't want them to give their preferences to the Greens. That's the political effort being undertaken.
Okay, got to go. James Ashby, Michael Danby, thanks so much for your time.